Russia's economy, its military, even Putin's grip on power, they all run on oil. It's the lifeblood of the nation, pumping through a vast network of pipelines like arteries through a body. But now, Ukraine has struck straight at the heart, and Russia is bleeding badly. On the night of July the 23rd, in the quiet town of Sirius, just outside the resort city of Sochi, near the Black Sea, the sky roared to life. A wave of Ukrainian drones descended on a major fuel depot operated by Lukoil, and they didn't miss. Videos filmed by shocked residents captured the chaos. The unmistakable hum of drones, followed by massive explosions lighting up the night sky. Fireballs erupted, smoke towered high, and just like that, gallons of Russia's most valuable resource went up in flames. Every drop lost is a hit to the war machine, a blow to the economy, and a crack in the armor of Putin's power. Russia's own defense ministry claims 39 Ukrainian drones were shot down that night, 21 over the Black Sea, 11 above the Sea of Azov, and 7 across Krasnodar Krai. But clearly, their air defenses weren't enough. Despite Russia's bold interception claims, a number of Ukrainian drones slipped through and struck key locations, most notably the Lukoil fuel storage site near Sirius. Dmitry Plishkin, the head of Sirius municipality, confirmed via Telegram, "There was a strike on the fuel depot on Novocherkassk Street. Please avoid driving and walking in that area. I will provide updates on important incidents." The aftermath was severe. Sochi International Airport was forced to pause operations from approximately 11 p.m. to 3 a.m., grounding around 59 departures and 38 arrivals, and leaving nearly 800 travelers stranded at airports in Novosibirsk, Omsk, and Tomsk. Local hotels evacuated guests to bomb shelters and underground parking as air raid sirens echoed through the area. Residents witnessed powerful explosions and towering smoke columns as video footage from Sochi and Sirius captured the chaos unfolding. At least one woman was killed and another seriously injured when drone fragments crashed in the Adler district, and a small fire broke out at a nearby garage complex before being quickly extinguished. As of now, the full extent of damage to the oil depot has yet to be reported. In today's fragile economic climate, this is yet another devastating blow for President Putin, and a stark illustration of Ukraine's methodical targeting strategy. Ukraine's forces struck again, this time hitting the vital logistics hub of Novocherkassk in Russia's Rostov Oblast. Just a day before the fuel depot strike, Ukrainian drones hit a critical railway junction that Russia depends on to move ammunition, fuel, weapons, and troops toward its war front. Andriy Kovalenko, who leads Ukraine's Center for Countering Disinformation, explained on Telegram that this railway node connects major directions: Rostov-on-Don, Voronezh, Volgograd, and Kamensk-Shakhtinsky. He emphasized that the hub supports the 1061st Logistics Center of Russia's southern military district, which distributes arms, fuel, and supplies. On the night of July 22, 2023, drone swarms triggered explosions across Novocherkassk, including at the railway station and the city's thermal power plant, disrupted transport, internet, and telecom outages, and fires were reported by local channels and media observers. While Russian officials claimed they intercepted dozens of drones, at least 11 over Rostov Oblast alone, they did not deny that explosions and damage occurred in Novocherkassk. 3 injuries were reported in the city, and traffic was brought to a standstill after crossings were blocked by the aftermath of the strikes. Hubs like Novocherkassk are the arteries feeding Russia's war machine. Cut them off, and the logistics grind to a halt. That's exactly what Ukrainians are doing, striking pipelines, rail lines, ammo depots, oil storage tanks, and pumping stations with surgical precision. This is how you dismantle an invasion, hit the infrastructure Russia depends on. Ukraine isn't acting on impulse. A joint investigation by Radio Free Europe, Radio Liberty, Frontelligence Insight, and volunteer analysts examined over 100 satellite images of Ukrainian long-range strikes between September 1st, 2024 and February 12th, 2025. The findings are staggering. Here's what they found. Ukrainian forces carried out at least 67 verified deep strikes during that period, with about two-thirds deemed successful and the rest unconfirmed or inconclusive. Attack focus shifted over time, from ammunition depots earlier in the period to energy infrastructure later on. 27 strikes on oil and gas facilities alone. In total, 50 oil storage tanks were destroyed and another 47 damaged, according to satellite assessment data. The financial cost? At least 60 billion rubles, approximately $658,000 to $714 million USD, depending on estimates. Disruption of oil exports combined with damage to refining operations drove the economic toll. One of the most striking incidents occurred on October 7th in Feodosia. 11 oil tanks housing 69,000 cubic meters of petroleum were obliterated, costing up to 3.3 billion rubles. 39 million just in losses on that strike alone. What does this mean? Russia's energy infrastructure, and by extension its war economy, is under sustained, targeted pressure. Repairing damaged refineries or tanks can take months. Full restoration of refining capacity can stretch beyond a year under ideal conditions. Ukraine has executed some incredibly precise long-range strikes deep within Russia, some reaching nearly 800 miles from the front lines. Drones and missiles have hit military and logistical sites situated around Moscow, including Engels Air Base, roughly 435 miles from the front, and Izhevsk, more than 800 miles into Russia's interior. Initially, Ukraine focused on vital military targets, command centers, and ammo depots. In September 2024, huge ammunition dumps in Toropets and Tikhoretsk were obliterated. These sites supplied Russian forces with the arms and artillery shells used daily in Ukraine's northeast and southern fronts. For example, on the night of September 17th to 18th, a Ukrainian drone strike on the 107th GRAU arsenal in Toropets triggered massive explosions. The blast carved out an 82-meter-wide crater and registered as a mini-earthquake, equivalent to 200 to 240 tons of TNT. Windows shattered miles away, and the region was evacuated due to secondary explosions and fires. Similarly, Tikhoretsk Air Base in Krasnodar Krai suffered fires when another Ukrainian drone hit its adjacent GRAU arsenal on September 21, 2024. Tikhoretsk wasn't just any ammo dump, it was a vital depot for one of Russia's only reliable allies, North Korea. Estimates suggest Ukraine destroyed up to 160,000 tons of munitions in that strike, delivering a crippling blow to Russia's logistical lifelines. Ukraine's drone strike on September 2024's Tikhoretsk facility didn't just hit warehouses, it obliterated massive stockpiles, including artillery shells supplied by North Korea. Estimates range from 30,000 to 160,000 tons destroyed, erasing a core hub of Russia's eastern ammunition pipeline. No, not every Ukrainian strike is devastating, but even smaller damages gradually erode the Kremlin's supply chains. Interruptions cause delays, create shortages, and force elites to ration and reallocate on the fly. Yet, Ukraine's campaign evolved. By late 2024 into 2025, analysts from Radio Free Europe, Radio Liberty, Frontelligence Insight, and volunteer researchers observed a clear shift. Ukraine began smashing energy infrastructure, like oil depots and gas refineries, increasingly often. Here's what their findings revealed. Over September 1, 2024 to February 12, 2025, Ukrainian forces executed at least 67 confirmed deep strikes, with around two-thirds marked successful, though many smaller hits went unverified. Destruction focused on oil and gas targets, 50 storage tanks leveled, another 47 damaged, plus refineries and pumping stations taken offline for days or weeks at a time. The total cost to Russia? At least 60 billion rubles, or roughly £658 to $714 million USD in direct economic losses. This strategic pivot makes sense. Disabling refineries or storage breaks the fuel arteries of Russia's war economy, forcing military operations to crawl. Back in September 2024, Ukraine struck 7 military sites, but only 2 oil and gas facilities. By January 2025, the target profile flipped. 9 energy installations and just 1 military facility. This shift shows that oil and gas infrastructure rose to become Ukraine's primary target. Between September and mid-February, analysts confirmed 27 successful strikes on energy sites, including refineries, storage tanks, and pumping stations. Satellite imagery review revealed that 97 oil tanks were either damaged or destroyed during that period. What does that mean in terms of losses? The exact cost hinges on how full those tanks were, something difficult to verify post-strike. So researchers modelled losses under different scenarios: fully loaded, half full, or mostly empty, using contemporaneous oil prices and the ruble to USD exchange rates at the time. Their conservative estimates suggest that the total damage across these energy-targeted strikes exceeded 60 billion rubles, or around $658 million USD, combining the cost of lost oil and rebuilding storage facilities. According to Radio Liberty's case study of the mid-October Feodosia strike, the single attack destroyed 11 tanks holding about 69,000 cubic meters of petroleum, resulting in losses of up to 3.3 billion rubles, or roughly $39 million USD, for just that event. That's why these figures matter. Every strike, whether it wipes out an entire depot or merely dents it, ripples across Russia's economy. If those oil tanks Ukraine targeted were only half full, the estimated losses jumped to around 5.5 billion rubles, or more than $60 million. But in the worst-case scenario for Russia, and the best for Ukraine, if those tanks were mostly full, meaning 90% capacity or more, the losses balloon to over 8.5 billion rubles. That's more than $95 million gone in less than 6 months. Realistically, the actual number likely falls somewhere between 38 million and 100 million. But either way, that's a massive blow to the Russian economy and military supply chain. And these hits aren't just damaging depots, they're starting to reshape Moscow's decisions. Reports suggest attacks like these have influenced Putin's recent decision to cut defense spending for 2026, a rare move driven by fears of a looming recession. Russia's not just losing soldiers and tanks, it's bleeding fuel, storage, infrastructure, and money. And some of Ukraine's strikes are proving to be absolutely devastating. Russia isn't just losing soldiers, it's losing its workforce. Right now, the country is short millions of workers, and it's only getting worse. Labour Minister Anton Kotyakov recently warned President Putin that by 2030, Russia could face a staggering shortfall of over 10 million people in its economy. His exact words: "According to our estimates, by 2030, we need to involve 10.9 million people in the economy." So what's behind this looming crisis? A deadly combination: record low birth rates, high death rates, and the devastating toll of war. Thousands of working-age men have been sent to the front lines, and many haven't come back. Those who do often return injured or unfit for labor. But that's not all. Russia is also facing a massive brain drain. Highly skilled workers, engineers, scientists, and IT specialists have left the country in waves. Some fled in protest against the war, others simply escaped a collapsing economy in search of better lives abroad. If you thought oil tank damage was bad, just wait until you hear what Ukraine's done to Russia's energy infrastructure. Between late 2024 and early 2025, Ukraine's strikes on Russian refineries and fuel depots racked up over 59 billion rubles in damage. That's more than $700 million USD gone in just 6 months. And it doesn't stop there. One of the hardest hits came in February when Ukraine targeted Gazprom's Astrakhan gas refinery, a massive facility expected to take up to 6 months to fully repair. Experts believe that when you factor in large-scale strikes like this one, the true long-term damage could approach $1 billion. Now sure, on paper that might seem like a drop in the bucket. After all, Russia pulled in roughly $189 billion from oil exports in 2024 alone. But that's only half the story. Russia's economy is crumbling under the weight of war. It can't afford to casually lose billions in vital infrastructure, especially as sanctions bite and foreign investment dries up. And many of these Ukrainian attacks are far costlier than they appear, because they don't just blow things up. They force Russia to rebuild, to divert manpower, materials, and logistics just to patch things back together. Every strike also pressures the Kremlin to relocate air defense systems, reposition radar networks, and stretch its already thin military resources even further just to keep critical sites safe. Ukraine's strikes have hit Russia's refineries hard, cutting their capacity by as much as 15%. The damage was so serious that Russia had no choice but to temporarily halt gasoline exports to protect its own domestic market. Simply put, Russia can now only produce enough fuel to meet its own needs, with nothing left over to send to its allies or trade partners. This is a clear sign that Ukraine's campaign is squeezing Russia's economy right where it hurts: the fuel supply. If Ukraine keeps up the pressure, Russia could be forced to extend its fuel export ban, losing billions and pushing its trading partners to look elsewhere. This threat hits Putin where it hurts most. For years, he's relied on Russia's vast natural resources, especially oil and gas, to maintain his grip on power and wield influence around the world. Without this economic leverage, Putin's global standing would weaken dramatically. That's why back in March 2025, Russia agreed to a rare ceasefire on energy infrastructure strikes. A 30-day pause, but only if Ukraine agreed to the same. This showed just how desperate the Kremlin had become. Since the invasion started, Russia has refused peace talks. Yet here it was, effectively pleading with Ukraine to leave its oil refineries and power plants untouched. But the truce didn't last. Russia broke the agreement first, striking a power grid on March 19th. Ukraine responded swiftly the next day, hitting an oil depot in Engels. Since then, Ukrainian forces have continued striking fuel storage sites, oil tanks, and refineries, keeping the pressure squarely on Putin's war economy. Ukraine's precision strikes on Russia's energy infrastructure have done more than just damage oil tanks. They've exposed the Kremlin's vulnerabilities and shifted the balance of power. With each targeted refinery and disrupted pipeline, Ukraine has not only crippled Russia's war machine, but also forced President Putin into a corner. The temporary export bans and escalating repair costs highlight the economic strain mounting on Russia. These actions have disrupted global energy markets, compelling former trade partners to seek alternatives and diminishing Russia's leverage on the world stage. As the conflict continues, Ukraine's strategic focus on energy infrastructure serves as a powerful reminder. In modern warfare, control over energy resources is not just about fueling tanks. It's about weakening economies, eroding alliances, and reshaping geopolitical landscapes. The question remains, how long can Russia sustain this pressure before its economic foundation crumbles under the weight of its own energy vulnerabilities? Stay tuned to know more.